What's up everybody, this is Todd. Today, as promised, I talked a lot about this on my stream. I'm gonna make my first tutorial and we're gonna take a look at how to go Mountain King first, get Footman defense and go for a quick expansion. That's a build order that's gonna be mostly the best on Melting Valley, Terenas Stand, but sometimes on Echo Isle as well. You can also do it without defend, but we're gonna look at the version where you get Footman defend here. So again, Melting Valley and Terenas Stand, I think the best two maps, with Melting Valley being by far the best, considering there are so many creeps on it that use piercing damage. So I'm gonna be playing against the computer first and writing down the build order with you guys so that you can have something in text. I think saying something out loud it's nice and all, but I feel like for a lot of people to remember every single step would be very difficult. So we're gonna write everything down, and then you guys can also take your own notes if you want while watching this to try and recreate the build order on your own. So I'm gonna be playing against the computer up first, and let's have a quick look. So in the start, you're gonna wanna get one peasant, start one peasant, send workers to mine, start altar. That's the first step. So I'm going to be taking notes on the side here. The next peasant coming out will be starting a farm, but immediately after we'll start the barracks that you're going to want to get. And then this one will go back to wood after. So then you start a farm. There we go. First peasant to come out starts farm, but makes barracks.
What is it?
Next one will continue that farm.
Yes, my lord. Ready to work.
And then the next one, you're gonna rally. Next one continues making farm. Next one goes and makes second farm. Alright, let's see. Yeah, that will update.
What?
And then the next one after that will go to gold. So
What is it?
all of these guys, they will go back
Ready
to
work.
woods after building
work.
something. Just,
What?
you see, like you have
Yes,
4
my
right now.
lord.
So the next
What
one
is
will
it?
go to gold. This one you can send back in the main. Usually I get my farm elsewhere. I'm gonna write that down. All building peasants will go to mine wood. Next peasant to come out goes to mine gold. There we go.
Yes, my lord.
It's a lot of notes. I could have simplified it a bit more. Then you're gonna wanna start Mountain King. A very important thing about this build order is that while you go for this, you're gonna continuously make peasants for a very, very long time. I'll tell you when to stop. But you never stop peasant production in the first place here. I think I have a hotkey conflict sadly where it's making my game slow down. I should have maybe created on in multiplayer to avoid that. So then you start Footman. Start MK plus Footman. While you keep on making peasants. All the next ones will go to woods.
Ready to work. More gold is required.
And then you're ready for the first camp. On Melting Valley, that's going to be this one right there. You can start your second Footman. You see everything lines up. I'm never stopping to make either Footman or peasants at this point.
More work.
I'm going to write that down as well. Keep making Footmen as well. And then that's the next step. It's going to be on 22 out of 24, make third farm. That's right now. You see, as soon as you have the gold, I'm gonna try not to use hotkey as much because it keeps slowing down the replay. Otherwise, I think yeah, I have one conflict.
Ready to work.
So then you start
Yes, my lord.
the third footman, and after the third footman, that's when you're gonna start defense. So to be able to afford that, you're not gonna get an arcane tower because defense costs quite a bit. It's 100 gold, 150 gold. Sorry. You see, like you can start it just on time, as the third footman's about to finish. I'll write that down. After third footman comes out, have defend queued. So now you see this camp is pretty easy. Try not to take too much damage on like one single unit if you can avoid it. After you've done this camp, you're gonna go for this one right there. You can start still more peasants.
Yes, my lord.
And then I would say 25 is a good time if you wanna go for a 25 out of 30. Get arcane if you want one. And fourth farm as well. I'm gonna get my fourth farm. I'll use 2 militia for that small camp. I'll get arcane to give you guys a good example. I think it's better to be safe than sorry. I guess against orc you don't really need it. Against undead though I would get it. Against night elf you do need it. Yeah, I guess most of the time you will get it, so it's probably better to get it. But then now look at this. I finished this camp. So now you're gonna try to reach this camp by nightfall, because then those creeps will be asleep. And for this one I use 5 militia usually. So you go right next to them once the nightfall has come. That's at 18 o'clock that it comes on this map. You bring the militia close, you activate defense, and then you make sure that you only select the footman and you're gonna attack the creep. Because if you attack with MK, they might attack the MK, but if you attack with footmen, they will attack the footmen, you see? That priest will heal throughout. Get an arcane tower. And I think like it's enough notes for the build order. Like the following is pretty obvious as far as what camps you're gonna go for. I would definitely advise staying closer with your MK than here. And then usually that's where you'll leave 1 militia here. To get a farm, you're at 34 out of 36 here. If you're against human, maybe toggle this off so that you will have more mana to get some abolish on the elementals. Very important, like I explained it. Make sure like you have all the militia already close, because if you attack too early, then the militia that are coming in, they're all gonna get ensnared. So make sure you have everything closed before you attack, and make sure only the footmen are attacking. Remember, that's the most important. So now this creep, I'll pause real quick. If you attack the middle one here, it's gonna get frost armored. So you wanna attack the small one, the crappy one here, and then this one. See? Now it uses frost armor on this one, and this one is the one that's gonna die quick. You will always want to kill the high priest first, because he's super annoying in healing all the time. Now is usually the time you can start a lumber mill. And then now, very important when you do this build, you're gonna want to stand right here while the expansion's building, unless you know for a fact where the opponent is. So usually 5 is more the go-to as far as how many peasants you want to have building this base. You can do this where you send like 1 or 2 footmen on a mission to scout around. So like I'm gonna send it here, check this shop, here, check this shop, and then here, to try and figure out where the opponent is. If there is a blade master coming, or you against orc, you can put 1 footman there to use revelation here to make sure that you keep the blade master in check. He can't rely too much on the invisibility to stay alive. And then you keep on making footmen and more peasants in the meantime. A good number of peasants I would say to have on wood in your main is like 7, 6, 7, maybe even 8. You don't need to go like crazy with like 10. Then usually you get an arcane tower here first. You start building that ASAP after, or like same time as the town hall, and then you add a guard tower later on. You don't have to go crazy on the towers either. Like obviously you play human, so if you want to you can, but it's not always a necessity. So yeah, that's pretty much it with the build order tryout here. I'm gonna now show you guys a replay where I use this build order against an orc, so you can see for yourself how it looks when used in an actual game. Let me actually move this aside. Remember, like this is my first tutorial, so go easy on me. I stopped taking notes when I feel like, I don't know, I didn't feel like it was that useful anymore because there is only really one thing to do. Maybe I could have taken more, but let me guys know. You can also take your own notes. Like the way I take notes, you know, it's like my own way of doing it, but everybody will have their own. So make sure you guys take your own notes if you want to, and try and remember everything. And it's something that I would advise practicing first against a computer, like in solo, and then later on trying it out in an actual game if you wanted to. Alright, I've got an actual game over here. So you see same position as well. Ah, that's pretty useful actually, that wasn't even planned. I'm gonna speed it up a bit.
Ready to work.
So you see, altar, start the farm, then go straight for the barracks. And then the next one will continue making that one farm that you made there. I always try to go for a wall like this with altar and one farm potentially, and then farm and barracks closing the other side. Obviously against orc you don't want to let grunts get in. Second farm will start. Remember the next one goes straight into gold.
Ready to work.
And then
Job
this
done.
will come back to wood.
Job done.
You start mountain king. I will start a footman immediately.
Ready to work. Job done.
I guess perhaps I could have noted a bit better when I stopped making peasants.
Job done. Ready to work.
But I'll try to touch on that in a second here.
Ready for action.
Remember 21, then you start one more peasant, and usually
Ready
22,
to
boom,
work.
right now, that's when you have the gold, and you start the additional farm, which I personally delay a little bit because I want to have it all the way there. I get my second one here, third one down there, and then fourth one here. So that's my expo.
Ready for action.
If he comes to this avenue, I spot it early. If he comes to this one, I spot it early, and then I see the path to my main base as well. So in the build order explanation earlier, I didn't do a very good job of bringing this on time, but in this actual game that I played on stream before, I did. So militia does come here. And I'm just gonna grab this camp real quick. Only this one ensnares the middle one, so sometimes you can stormbolt it, but against orc I like to save my mana as much as possible. I guess in any matchup, maybe Night Elf, because usually they won't be harassing super fast on this map. They'll be Ancient of War creeping, because otherwise they'll be too late. I get defend, one more peasant. Use 2 militia for this camp here. And then I'll start my farm on 25 again. Pretty much, close to it. That's the fourth farm, remember? Don't try to tank, yeah, don't let the footman like this. You can even, it's better to tank with militia, I think. Because militia you can afford to lose one, it doesn't really matter. Even if it's slow and the opponent comes back. But like I said, on this map, creeping is so strong that a lot of the time the opponents won't really come in and go too crazy
Job done.
to try and kill your peasants. So now, still getting one more footman, one more peasant. I get an arcane tower. How many militia do I have? I have 5 here.
Ready to work.
I got the one peasant here, and I got 5 here. So that is a lot here together. That is 11 peasants already on wood. So at this point, if I want to, I can already cut. Right now, you're gonna need a lot of gold to get those mercenaries. So remember, I attack this with just the footman in the first place, so they're the ones being targeted. You buy the troll priest here, which is gonna start killing whichever footman is being attacked. The militia are doing a ton of damage, and they didn't really get ensnared because they were close enough. Then usually you send everything back but one. You buy the troll berserker, and then you start at farm. And by then you will be at 34 out of 36. If you try and do this build order, and after doing this camp you're at 34 out of 36 after buying the troll berserker, you've done it right. I think that's a good way to know. And usually this is the time where you can stop making peasants. Like if you want, you can get more, but you'll only have like a ton of wood, which is not going to be super necessary. For this camp, I like to use 4 militia because I like to keep some extra ones at home to then send. You see, like my wood is not crazy just yet, but also if I get attacked here, I want to be able to send 2 or 3 militia to help with the fight, because actual peasants in peasant form are pretty bad for fighting. So again, I attack this one first, then I attack this one. That's the one that got frost armor. Blade will show up here. But you get level 3 here no matter what. And then upon realizing Blade is here, what do? I send one footman here to be able to use Revelation. He could attack this, but then he might get stormbolted behind. Generally speaking, if a Blade Master has been in Windwalk for like 5 seconds, don't stormbolt it when he comes out of Windwalk, because he's probably going to be able to Windwalk again before the stormbolt actually lands. So that's also why it's very important to have a footman here. Now I start my tower, and then you see I try to stay very close to the peasants. I know he might be around, I know he might have gone and crept elsewhere. I'll send one footman, one single footman for the scout. That's not too much damage that I'm going to be missing in this fight. Actually, I was thinking about sending a second one, but then I kept it. You see, he doesn't have that much mana. Now I see a panda, so it means that he teched decently fast. And then I immediately realize he has Pendant of Energy on the panda. He's gonna wanna use Breath of Fire on a lot of these peasants. So now I'm gonna prioritize the panda as much as possible. In 2 Storm Bolts, you see the damage you can do to him. His blade doesn't even have the mana either for a Windwalk yet. It's gonna soon. Send some militia in as well, because you're gonna need new peasants to keep building that base. You have to assume like these might die anyway. And I didn't even need Revelation. I prioritized the panda attack. He loses the panda. He's in a lot of trouble. He's just gonna tap out. So that's pretty much it for the build order. I hope this will be helpful to you guys. Let me know what other build orders you would like to see. Obviously, like this was a first one, so I picked something very basic. But if you guys in the future want to see less of a detailed starting build order and more of a mid-game combo or units usage, I can also definitely do that. I'm always open to feedback. So thank you very much guys for watching. This was my first tutorial on WarCraft 3, and I'll see you guys next time.